Yes, here we go. P.M.P time. It is Celtic who won 4-1 in Dingwall today. Another 3 points in the bag. 18 points clear at the top of the SPFL. There is no catching us. Even when the going gets tight, the scoreline seems to stretch further. We thought the midweek we'd seen a more sort of aggressive attack in Celtic, and the scoreline was a smaller margin. Today, again, we're back to 4 goals to the good. We did concede a penalty. It was 1-1 for a period of time as well. So there was a wee bit of touchy moments, but I was pretty relaxed today. I've got to be honest, I was pretty relaxed throughout. I didn't feel we wouldn't get a winner. I was quite confident that we would. I was quietly confident. If you told me to pick 4-1 when it was 1-1, probably not. But having said that, these are the traits of the team. They showed a stat before half time when it was still 0-0 that we have scored the most amount of goals between the half-hour mark and half time. And we got one duly after they produced that stat. And I think we've always been a side synonymous with getting late goals. And when I look at the times, 81 minutes, 90 plus 6, 90 plus 8, it used to sound crazy, but obviously games do tend to go on for that sort of 96, 97 mark on average these days. 4-1 win. We'll do all that good stuff. Then we'll get the thoughts of Terry Robb. So first and foremost, gives a wee like, gives a share, buy some hair, all that carry on. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, it's $1.99. Loads of you have done it. It just helps keeps the wheel on the road. There's a wee option below with a wee dollar sign or something like that, but totally optional. The most important thing is you hit the subscribe button. And if you have hit the subscribe button already, make sure you've hit that bell and you don't miss a bus, because there are buses coming thick and fast just now. We're on course for around 9-10 days in a row of the bus at this moment in time. Terry, are you as relaxed as I was this afternoon?
Very much so, Bhoycie. As Neil Lennon would say, I was deluded. I think if you played that game, I know this will sound silly, but if you played that game in reverse, as in you started at the end and played it back to the start, I think every Celtic fan would say that was an excellent performance, because the goals didn't come to the end. People will maybe look at it and go, "Oh, we weren't great in the first 80, and we were lucky enough to get the goals." It doesn't matter when the goals come. It's what the score is at the end of the 90 minutes. And even with 11 minutes to go, I was very confident we'd get the win. And you know what? Even if we didn't get the win and we drew, I still thought it was a decent performance. I thought it carried on a wee bit from the previous game. I thought the play was quicker. I really don't like this fixture for watching on the TV because of the camera angle, because I think the game never looks as good at pitch level as it does from an elevated position. You get it at Ross County and maybe one or two other grounds. So I never think the spectacle looks that good on TV, but I did think it was an enjoyable game. There was lots of action, lots of talking points. I thought we played well. The goals came a wee bit later. It doesn't matter when they come. All that matters is that you get the points. It was minus 14 degrees overnight up there, so it was going to be bitterly cold. It brings an end to 4 matches in 10 days for us, and we've won 3 of them convincingly. You then have that, what I'm now calling a giant killing against a giant killing whenever Rangers pulled that performance out, because you can't describe it any other way. It's the same as when Wimbledon beat Liverpool in the FA Cup final. But no, over the moon. We'll touch on the lineup, we'll touch on the game, we'll go through the talking points, but no, really happy with that.
Yeah, me too. I thought you take out from both sides their 2 top scorers and the most creative threats. These are guys that between them have, I think it's around 40 to 50 goal contributions between them. We're removing that from the side today. And I think one of the most refreshing things we've seen now, I was obviously on Thursday, Friday, freaking Wednesday, probably repeating myself consistently, but I had obviously alluded, half jokingly, obviously, I was looking forward to seeing whether Kyogo could still play football, such as the lack of touches he's had over the past 12 months. Albeit there's still a semi-decent goal return, albeit I think it could be better.
Top scorer in SPL.
Yeah, I know. But it's not that's nothing to go by. You go by your own goal tally. And I still think his goal tally is a wee bit short from what we'd hoped for. Go on.
Well, I've watched another pod, I think it was yesterday, and Alan Morrison was on it, and he said he actually surprised me what he'd said. So season 1, Kyogo scored 20. Then season 2, where it was peak Ange ball, he scored 33 or 34.
34.
And the season after was back to 20. And this season, his pro rata is on target for 20. So he was at the point 20 is the norm. That one season is actually the anomaly. Sure. But we now judge him by that one season where we'd had a season of learning how Postecoglou's system works, as we've spoke about many times, the template goal where everything, it's all about getting the ball into the 6-yard box for the centre forward who was Kyogo. So maybe our expectation levels were risen from that one season, but 20 is actually what his normal expectancy level should be.
The goal thing's one aspect of it, Terry, but okay, let's look at then the 20 goals he'd scored before the season of 34. He was so much more involved in the team play. And the reason I'm bringing that point up is because today you've seen him playing with a partner. Now, I thought at first it was going to be how we'd kind of forecasted it last night on the Friday feeling, where we'd said maybe Kyogo's going to play out wide left. Hopefully it won't be Yang on the other wing, but that's different.
Well, what was it, Bhoycie? What was it today?
Right, so I've got my theory. I put it in the group chat. I think out of possession, we were a 4-4-2 with Engels on the right, right? And Baye, Trusty, Kamikata, Vickers, Johnston as a flat back 4. And then your midfield 4 was Yang, McGregor, Hatate, and Engels on the right. That was out of possession. In possession, it felt to me very much like we were playing, like, believe it or not, like Scotland's 3-5-2. Now, remember the battle of how are they going to fit Robertson and Kieran Tierney in the same team? So what they did was put Kieran Tierney at this left centre-back role for Scotland, and he was allowed to roam forward. And that's how you were finding Valle inside quite often in the first half, this is in particular. You'll find him picking up the ball or looking for the ball. He was on the inside. Gang was stuck like glue to out wide left. And Engels was certainly playing one in. And Johnston was kind of like your other right winger almost when we were in possession. He was so high up the park from what you would normally associate him with. You only need to look at the crosses he was putting in to see that. So in possession, I think we were kind of almost a 3-5-1-1, I would call it, because Kyogo was kind of behind Ida. But the difference with Kyogo playing with someone up there, he was able to get in the ball. And by the way, see if anyone was in any doubt, I put my hands up, can he still play? Boy, that boy could play. I thought he was excellent. And I thought his enthusiasm grew so much because he was getting on the ball so much more. We're all like that, I think. Any of us who've played football, when you're getting on the ball, you're getting plenty of touches. You want it more. You get greedy for it. And I think he felt he was impacting the game a hell of a lot more than he has of late in terms of just how we were actually performing, not getting on the end of things. He was actually involved in loads of nice touches, loads of nice passes out wide, loads of good link-up play. He was the real plus point. Then you get to the 2 goals, which he takes in absolute out-and-out number 9 positions. But as pleasing as that is that he's taking these chances, burying them, my overall delight for Kyogo was seeing what he could do with someone else up there. It was only the 3rd start he'd made with Ida. We can get onto Ida later if we thought he was effective or not. But if Ida wasn't that effective, boy oh boy, did him being in the team with Kyogo impact how effective Kyogo was on the team. So it did work still, if you know what I mean, albeit the guy who was in the number 9 jersey didn't maybe have his best game. It certainly allowed Kyogo to breathe a bit, get on the ball more. And I thought his impact was so blatantly contrasted from how his involvements have been sort of all this season, really, to be perfectly honest.
Agree with you in terms of the setup. I think it was fluid in that it wasn't a set structure and it changed at different points in the first half, second half, depending on, again, as you say, in possession, out of possession. But to me, I kind of thought in my head, we started with a back 4, a normal back 4, except there was no right back, which means it wasn't a normal back 4. It felt as if at the very outset, Johnson had full license to go down that right-hand side, but Engels was sort of doing a minding job. You could see he was sort of sitting a little bit
out of possession
on the right-hand side. Kyogo, I expected to start on the left. Well, he was popping up all over the place. Sometimes his starting position was on the right. Sometimes it was mainly as a second striker. And I know he got his 2 goals, but he could easily have had 5 today. Lineup wise,
Yes, let's get into it.
Hitati comes back in for McCowan. We could see what McCowan thought of that whenever he came on. No game time at all for Bernardo today. Again, I think he'll be disappointed with that. Hitati, hot and cold, hit and miss.
Is that the type of fixture you would start attacking? I think when you look at the optics of certain fixtures, I just think Dingwall, you're saying it was minus 14 overnight. Sutton was already on form before the game. If you heard him correct, Chris was it minus 15. That made me laugh. But if that's the sort of weather and it's that congested, that small, tight pitch, it's going to be a bit of rough and tumble. It's not going to be the conditions, I don't think, that suit Hitati more than it suits a Bernardo or Luke McCowan. They'd be ahead for me in the pecking order for that type of game. That if it's horses for courses in certain fixtures, I'm surprised it was Hitati that was chosen for that. If I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean he came on late in the previous game there and scored, so maybe that's had some kind of bearing on it. The manager sees him. I can't imagine there's been a lot of training in Bhoycie over the last 10 days, 2 weeks with the amount of matches and things like that. So I was a bit surprised. I thought Bernardo would have got more of an opportunity today. Bhoycie coming in at left back, I think that's extremely disrespectful to Greg Taylor. And Ada gets his third start in a row. Ada gets his third start in a row up top. Again, draws a blank. We'll touch on him later as to whether you've got concerns around the lack of goals or whether you think that Ada's work gave Kyogo the license to go and put in the performance that he did. And Kyogo, by the way, had more touches today than he's had in the previous 3.5 years.
That's my whole point, mate. That's my whole point.
Yeah, Engels in the starting lineup again. I thought he was decent, and Yang, you'd hope that you wouldn't see Yang in the starting lineup, given that he was the only fit winger. He was always going to play. I thought he was a wee bit better today. He was involved.
Beat 2 players at one point, and I honestly nearly fell off my chair.
I think Yang, to me, I've been trying to work out. He's a street footballer, boy. Saying what I mean by that is, I bet you when he was playing in the playground at school or in his housing estate back in South Korea, I bet you he was amazing. Nobody could get the ball off him. He was untouchable. He had all the skills. He had all the tricks. But when you put him into a professional football environment, you see flashes of those things, but he always seems...
He doesn't get it.
He always seems something happens just as he's about to get shot away. Something gets in the way. Something stops him. He always finds an obstacle that stops him getting a good final ball, stops him scoring whenever he should score. He could have scored 2 or 3 today. The positions that he got into, there just always seems to be something stopping him. But it was improved today. He's come in. He was the only fit winger. I thought he was more impressive today. I'm a bit nervous
what level are you holding him to though when you say that? More impressive than
his own level. To be honest.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. I'm not trying to trip you up here.
No, his own level. I'm judging him against his own level. I've got concerns. Kuhn's just been picking up little niggles, and I know that young boys game a couple of weeks ago, it felt as if it was way off in the distance. It was in the future. We didn't have to start
11
thinking
days.
about it. 10 days, it's 10 or 11 days away now, and you're sitting with your 2 main wingers both injured, albeit the manager said they'd be fit for Tuesday. My thought pattern would be I'd be wrapping Kuhn up in cotton wool
till then,
between now and that game, just giving him enough minutes just to keep him loose and keep him fit. But I wouldn't be risking him. I mean, you don't want to be getting into that game relying on Yang, albeit if he plays like he did today, fine. But just concerned around that one.
Yeah. No, well, definitely. I mean, the concern is if Kuhn's not going to be there, what do we do? Is Maeda going to be fit for it? We're certainly hoping so. But the Nicholas Kuhn ones, obviously, I think there's the more going concern for that fixture. I think you're absolutely right. But the one thing we did get then was an opportunity to see what's the best thing to do if our 2 key wingers, our 2 key players of the season so far, our 2 standouts are missing. What do we do? And I think with the lineup, I spoke last night about the overall quality of the team. We couldn't reduce it too much. Now, I know there is players that can come in and probably doesn't fall off the standard that far. But if we just went for our next 2 wingers, say, to play on the wing, That had to be Yang and another, right? So see if you're going to put someone out of position, make sure it's someone who's regular first-team player. So the overall quality of the team remains at that high level, albeit there might be a square in a round circle. Do you know what I mean? Whatever that saying is.
I think if we had somebody in the B team, Bhoycie, playing on the wing, who the manager felt he could bring in, I think he might have done that, to be honest. But yeah, what was refreshing to see was a couple of new faces on the bench, and that's what having players out gives you that opportunity. So I was pleased to see Kenny appearing on the bench and getting some minutes, and he'll be disappointed that he didn't score. He looked decent. His first involvement, he went on a good run, and then he got a chance that I don't think he realises how much time he has. Then he's involved in McCowan's goal. Daniel Cummins also got an appearance on the bench, but didn't get any game time. Adam Montgomery, it seems like Adam Montgomery's been around for about a decade, because it seems so long ago that he came in and he played regular. He played reasonably regular one season at left back, but that seems so long ago. But he's still a relatively young lad, and he appeared on the bench. So it was good for Kenny. I thought he looked. He only got 20 minutes or something like that, but I thought he looked. You can see maybe why he's scored quite a lot of goals, albeit most of them at a lower level. But 5 in Europe this season could. Yeah.
Second top scorer in the Conference League.
Could he end up being the third striker that the manager's talked about? Who knows?
Yeah, I think he's got a chance. I think he's definitely got a chance right now. I think Celtic will be reserved in going out and spending, just going by how the Bhoys think, by the way. But I think they'll be looking at it going, well, we've spent 9 million on a striker for you, but we're loath to go into the market again and spend more millions on another striker if you've not got, a guy who's scored the bucket loads of goals for us before, not maybe firing on all cylinders, and you've not been able to get goals at a 9 million one. We're not going to get you another one. So I think Johnny Kenny might be a realistic option, Terry, that the manager's going to have to trust. And by the way, he couldn't come with more confidence in his locker than that run. And that shows the benefit of these loan spells as well sometimes. I know you're saying it's a drop-off of quality of the League Ireland, but how much is it really from some of the SPFL sides? Some of it.
Looking at what Shamrock Rovers themselves have achieved in the
Ross County have done that.
And they didn't win the league, by the way. Shamrock Rovers didn't win the league this season.
There you go.
I would imagine if Shamrock Rovers played any of the other teams in the SPL, they would definitely hold their own.
And I take the point that you're making there as well.
And I mean all of them, all the other teams.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
Can I just ask you something quickly when it's in my head, Bhoycie? Do you have any concerns that Kyogo could leave before the end of the season? There's no smoke without fire.
I think it's something that they would be open to doing. I think a guy who's he's either turned 30 or he turns 30 this month, and Celtic do look at that. This is now the business heads, the bean counter guys. They do start going, 2 years left in his deal or 3 years left in his deal. 30 years old. It's the last chance to get money for him. Couple interested parties. Let's see what those talks sort of unfold as, and in terms of go in high, see what sort of offer we get made, and then put it to the manager and the player. But I certainly think the club, those guys, the guys in suits, would be open to discussing it. That's my take on it. How concerned would I be? I think based on today, you're allowed to flip-flop your opinion. I think I've seen for Kyogo today what I've probably just not seen enough of, if that makes sense. And that's probably put the seed of doubt in my mind as to whether he's still contributing or not. Yeah, you see him in a new position today, or with a partner, just with some company up there, Terry. He just needed fucking company. He got some company up there today, and suddenly he is getting on that ball and looking so much more like the guy that we sort of fell in love with the first couple of years that he was here. And I think based on what I've seen today, there is a refreshed Kyogo that could certainly do damage for us. Albeit the problem is when we get to these bigger fixtures, we're not going to see Kyogo playing in that role. He's not going to be playing in that role. It will revert to type. It will revert to what's brought us success, the record-breaking calendar year of 2024. he's going to revert to that. So I just hope that maybe today could maybe give Kyogo a bit more confidence when he is playing that lone role, that, listen, we all know how much you can affect the game. And now you've proved it when you did play a bit deeper. Hopefully that just has him brimming again a wee bit with confidence when he's playing up top and he's not getting as many touches, that when he does, he brings that killer instinct. I'm just going to quickly respond to a new viewer who's came in. Where is he? Paul Nichols came in. It's great to have you on the bus. Is it a subscription fee, boys? Not that I mind. There's absolutely not, mate. Hit the subscribe button. It's completely free. And hit the bell so you don't miss a bus. There is an option to become a Bhoycie Bus member. It's $1.99 a month, but don't worry about it, mate. It's just something that folk do to keep the wheels on the road. That's ages away for you, mate. Just try and enjoy the shows. Subscription is completely free. Aye, when it comes to that side of it, with Kyogo, I'm just hoping that this performance is a kickstart for the rest of his season. Albeit I don't think he'll have the luxury of playing in a position when he's going to get to see the ball as much as he is. But I hope that he can take the mental side of what he's, the joy that has probably brought him today. He can take that into his form when he is maybe a wee bit more isolated up top, which I think inevitably will be the case when it comes to the Young Boys Bern fixture. You ain't going to see Ida up top or Johnny Kenny up top with Kyogo being allowed to roam. That ain't going to happen. It's going to be Kyogo up top on his own, just having to be patient, bide his time, not get too frustrated. Hopefully today's a wee reminder of what he brings to this team.
No, we're not going to see that setup. We might see it fleetingly if Kyogo stays the rest of the season. We might see it in some SPL games, but certainly for the Champions League games, I fully expect us to revert to type as long as the players that are in that starting 11 are available to us. But hopefully, as you say, hopefully it gives him a bit of confidence, gives him a bit of a kickstart. I just worry a little bit because in terms of the potential transfer, I think this is an opportunity for us to sell him and get a good wage for him. The timings of the Champions League games would allow us to complete those 2 games and still sell him in the window. And there's also, if there's interest from America, which there seems to be, then that transfer could potentially take place even into February. So I don't think it'll happen. I think it would be foolish if we've any sort of aspirations of trying to go another round in Europe. I think it would be foolish. But would the board look at it? If we qualify for the next round, that's job done. The leagues, in their eyes, that'll be done as well. Do they look at it and go, we signed this guy for 5, we can make a profit on him, he's not getting any younger?
You can't deny that's a concern.
You wouldn't put it past them, and that's the model that's put us in such a strong financial position, and it has led to us sort of being the dominant force that we are. So whilst we all love him, and if it happens, it happens, and you just hope that we go out and we get the next striker that we're all going to fall in love with.
Well, definitely. I mean, it's not something we're advocating, by the way, on the buses to see
Kyogo go. Not. So
what we're having is a conversation about how we think Celtic PLC would view it. Yeah, and I think it's a fair point. Right, Terry, let's get to some goal action, and it was Kyogo again, the man of the moment. Alistair Johnston put one in not long before that. He was given, I think, offside. I'm not sure he was, to be honest with you, but the ball was absolutely delicious between the last line of defenders and the goalkeeper, right in that spot where you would expect someone to be whipping it in with the instep of their foot. It was a quality cross he'd put in. So he'd given them a warning. He then does it again, and Kyogo just needs to get anything on it. And he does it. It's a tidy finish, but it was one that I think was completely created by the ball by Johnson.
Yeah, Johnson was taking up really advanced positions. Early in the game, Johnson actually found himself in the central striker role for a cross from Ida, and he tried quite a cute flick, which the goalkeeper saved. So he was popping up in really advanced positions, and his delivery was good. And if Kyogo hadn't got the touch, Yang was coming in behind him, and you just know he was going to burst the net. So, but Johnson's cross kind of made it very, very, very difficult to defend, and Kyogo's in the right place, and kind of one of those finishes that we have been used to seeing him sort of just when the ball's delivered like that, he's alert. You can actually see, it was Boyd pointed out later on just how clever Kyogo was. He made a bit of a dummy run and then halted that and then went in the opposite direction. You can see that the central defender, he's looking, he hasn't a clue where he's at. He doesn't know if he's in front of him, behind him, left or right. So his movement, superb, finish superb. And you're 1-0 up at that stage and not far off half time. Couple of ones earlier than that, just to touch on. There was a penalty check for Hatate. I think there was contact, but the player has then, in my eyes, he's tried to stay on his feet. He's then stumbled and he's then fallen, which I think if he'd gone down on the initial contact, I think there might have been a decision to make. So my own view on that was it would have been soft. I wasn't calling out for it. I wasn't crying for it. Then there was hand in the face.
Just on that one. See, one thing I would like to see more of. People won't like this, but it's about winning. See, when you get a chance, you've brought it up now. It was brought up in the studio as well, so it was a talking point. Was that coming together? There's contact. I don't give a shit if he's clumsy or not. See, if he's clumsy, clumsy doesn't sort of allow you to make contact with players and not the ball in the box. So if you go by that, what I did find out frustrating from my point of view, and I know people might not like it, I'd like to see Celtic put more pressure there on the referee. I like more of a fuss made of it. There was zero fuss made. And I think that competitive streak has to come out a wee bit more there and just start ramping up the pressure. Make VRs sort of go into panic mode, the guys in the VRs, to do, what the fuck are they also animated about? And then they start looking at it from a slightly different prism. Just ramp up the pressure a bit. We can all say it's about getting the right decision. We're getting the right decision for Celtic, as far as I'm concerned. We're not wanting things, gimmies for free and all that, but see if there's a contact like that in the box and you think it's worth discussing on the podcast, it was worth discussing in the Sky studio after, then there was contact in the box. Celtic's players' reaction to that was as if there was zero contact, nothing happened.
Yeah. No, there was no
I would like to see a slightly different version is in those moments. Play like everything's on the line. And maybe if the league was more nip and tuck, you would have seen more of a reaction. I grant them that. But just think that Champions League game's coming up, things like this. You want to be creating fuss over opportunities like that. You create a storm in a teacup. No problem at all for me. That's what you're there to do at times. You're there to go highlight things, put pressure on. I think you see, 4 or 5 animated Celtic players appealing to the referee. Just puts that trigger of doubt in the VAR, cabin or whatever the fuck they're sitting in now. Just puts a wee bit of doubt in their room. Where they're seeing that animated sort of reaction, going, what's happening here? What's going on? And then you start looking at it from that, as I say, that slightly different lens. You know what I mean?
We did have an animated reaction on the next one, which was Austin Trusty claiming for a penalty whenever he got a hand in the face in the Ross County penalty box. Now, he kept that one going, and whenever the referee was waiting on the review of the Ross County penalty, Trusty was again over in the referee's face. And I think what he would have been saying to him there is, you can't give a penalty here when you didn't give me one in the first half. It looks innocuous, Bhoycie, and it looks as if there's very little, but the guy does basically hit him in the face with his hand. And again, for me, it's not a penalty, but
clumsy. It's just clumsy.
It's contact in the box that affects the player. Yeah. If he doesn't get hit in the face with the guy's hand, put it like this: getting hit in the face with a guy's hand means there's less chance of him getting on the cross or whatever than if there was no contact. But again, probably either of them would have been soft.
Here's the other question that really frustrates me with penalties: would there be a foul outside the box? Look at them both. They would be given it a heartbeat, mate. That trip on a tatty, I guarantee you, in the centre circle, is blown for a free kick before you even have a chance for the Celtic players to make a fuss over it. So why are we viewing fouls differently within the box? There's a fear of giving too many penalties. And that's not just the Celtic, but it shouldn't change. A foul's not redefined when it's inside the box. What constitutes a penalty or what constitutes a free kick aren't two separate entities. What constitutes a foul is surely the rule. Someone might correct me on that. But I think I'm right that a foul is a foul. I don't think it makes any odds whether you get tripped in the, in the centre circle, or you get tripped in the box. Whatever it is, and I agree with you with the hand in the face. I think it gets. I generally think if that was a long ball played by Ross County, Trusty goes to win it, and he does that. I think the free kick's given in a second for Trusty, mate.
If it happens in the other box,
it
happens in our box, and the player hits the defender in the face, it gets given as a free out. Totally agree with you. But we got the breakthrough through the half time, and when we're on the topic of penalties, we might as well fast forward to the Ross County penalty, which comes 10 minutes into the second half. Now, on first viewing, I just felt again this is a coming together of two players. I'm hanging on the words of Willie Collum on one of those wee bar reviews, which I've started watching, and I quite enjoy them. And I don't know whether this would be a common view, but when I hear Willie Collum talking about the game, he comes across as very knowledgeable and very passionate about football. And I think you kind of look at him a wee bit differently than when you just looked at, you form your opinion based on his performances in certain games and things like that. But I like that show. I think it's a welcome addition to the content available. And I think ultimately, at some point in the future, the TV audience at least will be able to get the VAR interaction live. I think that's just the first step to that happening. But on first view, I didn't think it was a penalty. But what struck me was absolutely no protest from Alistair Johnson whatsoever, which made me think, he knows it's a penalty. And then he came out post-match and he says, yeah, definitely penalty. I've been caught wrong side. Not a lot of contact, but he said it's a penalty. I'm wrong side and I've made contact with him. I think it was a wee bit similar to the one that Hibs got against Rangers during the week. Once the attacking player gets on the wrong side of the defensive player, if there's contact, it's more likely that the attacking player is going to get the advantage of it. And whenever I heard Johnson speaking about it, I thought, well, it's absolutely a definite penalty. If he says it's a penalty, it's a penalty. And I know there was quite a lot of noise around that one during the week, but I think both of those were very, very similar in terms of why they were given. And Ross County guy steps up, good penalty, one each. Not that bothered at that stage, to be honest. I just thought, right, game on. This is now just going to give us a bit of a challenge. And sometimes I don't mind us having a challenge. Sometimes I don't mind the other team scoring. Sometimes I don't mind us going behind because, it generates a different scenario for the team to overcome. You've a bit of adversity to deal with. Sometimes when you're watching these games and they're really, really straightforward. Yeah, you enjoy them and there's no stress, but sometimes I like to see us challenged and I like to see us have to try and, as I say, overcome a wee bit of adversity. So we've got half an hour then to get the job done. And
we picked the pace back up, didn't we? I thought we ramped the pressure back up after that. And by the way, just my thoughts on the penalty very quickly is just listen to Alistair Johnson. Yeah, I think that seals it for me. But yeah, I think you've seen the attitude of Celtic, and I've said this a few times now over the season. Celtic look insulted at times when they concede goals. They didn't Ibrox. Take that one out of the equation. But there's been other moments this season where I've said this on the show today. They look a wee bit insulted, a bit offended that you've had the cheek to score and peg yourself level with them. And they did seem to go through the gears again after that. There was a noted difference that the ball was parked. Here's an interesting stat for you, Terry. That game finished just shy of 80% possession again.
Yeah.
78.2, 78, 79. So you're looking at that and going, it's where you're then having the possession. And I thought it was notably 20 yards further up the park after we conceded that equaliser, almost instantaneously.
Yeah, and I think there was another visual came on the screen around the number of Celtic touches in the Ross County attacking third. I think there was 200. I think there was 200 touches in Ross County's final third. So utterly dominant. He didn't make the changes, Bhoycie, on the 60-minute mark where he normally does. He let it go for 15 minutes after Ross County equalised. So I think he's trying to give the players that had been trusted to start the game, and another 15 to try and get back on top again. Then he brings on McCowan and Kenny, and I think they injected another bit of energy. And McCowan brings you that. He's inventful. He's dynamic. He's trying to get on the ball. He's head up. He's trying to make things happen. And Kenny coming on for his first senior appearance for us. I think little bit of energy and electricity with them. Kenny, as I said, first couple of touches, he was neat and he went on a bit of a run. I've heard that he's really, really pacey, which would give us a sort of different dynamic than Ida, who's not a slouch, but I don't think pace is his main attribute. So I thought they injected a bit of energy into the performance, and as I say, I wasn't bothered that we were heading then into the last 10 minutes level. I was confident we were going to get something, and it's that man Kyogo again. But what was really impressive about that one was that we did something from a throw in. So the throw in, Bai throws it in, Engels, as he's got the guy behind him, he's holding him off, good strength, and then he turns him, takes him out of the game, and then delivers the cross. And Kyogo, it's a decent header. I didn't expect it to end up in the net. I thought the goalkeeper could have done better, but obviously
goalie was unlucky because he had a bloody good game.
Delighted that it ends up in the net, but equally very happy that we managed to do something constructive and positive from a throw-in, because all too often our throw-ins, the player, it's usually Taylor, to be honest, but he's looking for someone to throw it to. He's going to throw it that way, then he's going to throw it that way, and it ends up back at the feet.
Because he possession.
This one, Yang was persistent down the left. We got the throw-in. Bai took it quite quickly. Engels does really, really well to set that one up.
Yeah, no, Engels gets the cross. He's not credited with an assist. I was just having a wee look there on the BBC Sport website anyway.
I don't know how that would be.
I don't get it.
It was him, wasn't it?
I was convinced it was Engels too, but strange. I've looked at the assist list. They've only got Johnston 40 minutes and Johnny Kenny 90 plus 8 as the two assists. There was definitely another assist from Engels. Engels again impressed me, mate. He's in his groove, man. He is in his groove. And what I like as well, see, one of the things you've got to work out when you're going to sign players for £11 million and from top 3 leagues in the world or Europe, whatever you want to call it, you've got to make sure they're not going to come with a prima donna attitude, or you've got to maybe flip that and go, I need to make you aware of what a season entails at Celtic. And you've got to be giving them an expectancy level of, here's Dingwall, you're going to go there twice this season. One of the times you're going to go, it's going to be minus 14 overnight. It's going to be a tiny ground, frosty pitch. Conditions will be shit. You'll be absolutely bolt. You sure you're up for this? Because I think these boxes can tick from the same players. And I thought with Engels' attitude today, he looked a guy who knows exactly the challenge he's took up by joining Celtic. He doesn't seem to be conducting himself as a player who's came from the big leagues, the big huge fee, the big lavish wages, and thinks, what am I doing here? Doesn't seem to play like that, mate. He seems to be grabbing it. And I really like that in a player. And I know that might sound like it should be a prerequisite. Absolutely. But I'd make it a prerequisite that you've cross-examined with said player before you sign them these days. Because there's so many I look at in the English Premier League, which I've been watching a wee bit more of recently. I don't know why. And I think to myself, they would never be up for the challenge that some of our boys go through. They would never be able to stand up. I mean, look at the Ahmed Diallo boy at Man United, for example, who was at Rangers. You know, he didn't know what he'd signed up for. He thought he was signing for a 50,000 seater stadium, you know, a bit of glitz and a bit of dominating in Scotland. He hadn't done his homework on where the away grounds were and what they entail, you know, from January onwards, particularly January to March. And I think
even the other guy, Bhoycie, they brought in the 35 million man from Wolves.
Fabio Silva. Yeah, he's another one, And I
think we've brought in players as well, you know, as we've brought in players that kind of have looked the same. It's almost like, right, you've obviously come here thinking this is going to be one thing and you can't be arsed.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the refreshing things about Engels. I accept it should be standard. but we've just listed off examples where sometimes it isn't when guys come who are from better leagues with big reputations, and they can come in and go, whoa, what's this? What am I doing here? You walk in the changing rooms, for example, it's all tight, and they're going, fucking hell, I was in a bigger changing room playing, junior level.
But see, Engels, boys, see what you're saying there about Engels, and there's a real work ethic with him. But I think you can say this, the exact same applies to the other two midfielders that we signed during the summer. Bernardo works hard. The tracking back that he does, the hard work, the unfashionable stuff, and same again, McCowan. So I think I think there has to be good work being done in terms of identifying players who have got more than just footballing ability. They're going to fit into the culture. I know there's other ones that you could say. Obviously, the same due diligence wasn't done, likes of Bolingoli or Burnaby, but by and large, the players that have come in the last few seasons, they seem to really fit in and all have good work ethics and attitudes. And Engels was on with McGregor, I think, after the game during the week there, I think it was, and McGregor was giving him the man of the match, and they were having a bit of a giggle together, and it just felt, obviously you're only seeing a really small snippet, but it felt as if he's integrated into the team, into the culture. They were having fun. About McGregor was saying, I think it's his dad that's voting for man of the match or something like that kind of. So it just felt like there's a good camaraderie there, and he fits right into the culture that's there within the team.
No, definitely, Terry, definitely. He gets his penalty opportunity, and you think that's his first miss for Celtic. But this is the benefit of the staying on the line rule. If you like, it's so easy it's a yes or a no. Was he still on the line? And then you see the image, and no wonder he saved it, Terry. He is
the 6-yard line.
Mate, he was way further out than what Schmeichel was.
He was nearly past the ball.
I mean, Schmeichel got a retake against him at the same ground, remember, this season. And if my memory serves right...
Isn't it ironic, though, that the same thing happens at the same place against the same team at the other end?
It is. But what's also interesting is, I think of the Schmeichel when I go, fucking hell, I thought, yeah, it's the right call. He is off his line. This guy was miles off it. So I think you could put to bed that Engels missed he's got a wee miss there, maybe, even though it was, retaken. That keeper gave himself such an advantage.
He's off his line.
Yeah, massively. He's got the composure, the calmness, and again, the wanting of taking responsibility to put the ball back down, take the second one, and slot it home, no problem in the other corner. I like that coolness about him. I like the fact he took a penalty at the penalty shootout as well. On top of the fact he scored on his debut, he scored one. This guy's got balls as well. Do you know what I mean when it comes to these sort of situations? And I like that. Moving on from that one.
Was it a penalty? You happy it was a penalty? I'm a wee bit conflicted on it, to be honest.
I mean, I don't want to contradict myself, Terry. It was clumsy.
It was a coming together. I think this one I was calling.
I wasn't shouting for it.
I was, and I was expecting it to be given. But what I was asking myself, the only bit that gives me a wee bit of doubt is whose leg moved towards whose leg first, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? But I think I'm settled on it. It was a penalty. Yang, but again, go back to what I said about Yang. He's about to pull the trigger, and always something happens to stop him getting that goal. But I think I'm definitely leaning. I'm leaning towards it was a penalty. But so some of these, when you see them and they're slowed down, you can sort of wrestle with yourself a little bit. But I was calling for that one. I was expecting it to be given. The annoying thing though, Bhoycie, with this was it took around about 8 minutes from when the tackle took place to when a legal penalty had actually been taken. So you've got all the time where they're checking for the penalty, they're looking at all the different angles. Then I think there was The build-up was checked after that. Then the penalty given. Then there's a VAR check because the goalkeeper's off his line. Then there's a retake, and then eventually it ends up with a goal. It's all very slow and disruptive, and that's
for balance though. For balance, the time it took them to arrive at the decision for Johnston's one, which was blatant, as in the words of Alistair Johnson, it was a penalty. That was excessive as well. I mean, I think a lot of people just turn this into finding any way not to give Celtic a penalty.
No, I'm not going from that.
No, I don't mean you. I'm not saying you, Terry. I'm saying I think going by the live chat, what I've read, there's bit, and on social media stuff, it's finding any excuse not to give it. They were racking their brains trying to find. Well, you could flip that argument so easily in the first half and say they were trying to find a reason not to give the one against Johnston. So they both, I think it's excessive amount of time they take to reach these decisions, to be honest with you.
My annoyance is that I'm not saying they're looking for a reason to go against Celtic. What I'm saying is it's just not great that it takes so long to get to that decision. And the use of VAR, there was multiple times where, as you say, with the penalty, it's excellent. You can see straight away he's off his line. You get the right result. You might not have got that in real time without the video, but it's when there's these long delays that it takes so long to get to the decision. That's where I have an annoyance, and I think most people have an annoyance with it. But you want to talk about the Luke McCowan goal. I'm trying to work out what goal was my favourite today, but it's definitely this one. I just love the nimble feet where he shifts it twice with his left foot and then just rolls it into the corner. I think this goal is excellent.
He's one of the players that remind me a bit of what Tom Rogic used to do, in the sense that in a tight space, how have you touched the ball that many times there? Like, how have you managed to actually make contact with the ball that many times in such quick succession and in such a confined space? And that is getting it absolutely into the perfect position to get your shot away. And he's got a goal threat, Luke McCowan. Definitely. He's someone, I think, in my opinion, my eyes, there is one eye for me firmly on the Champions League fixture against the Swiss side, Bern, because we've got to be looking at that fixture if you're ambitious for Celtic right now. You've got to be. And I think that is a player, not that I would start him necessarily. I think there are better options to start the game. Say it's not going away or it's nip and tuck. He's someone who can come on, Terry, and in 15, 20 minutes, get a few shots away, get yourself into positions. He's just so direct. And see when he comes on for the 73 minutes he comes on, how much did you know he would have a shot on target? Would he have a shot on target? Would you bet yes or no that he would have a shot on target?
Oh, yeah.
I would always bet yes. That just says something in itself. That is quality to have that. Because that's telling you he's not just shooting for shooting's sake. He's testing goalkeeper. He's putting it in the back of the fucking net. So, again, it's nothing that we've not seen from him already. But I love the fact he's so, you used the word nimble. I think he's so cultured when he's got the ball at his feet like that. It's the wee deft touches that he's taken that are making, he's just shifting it in the same direction it was going anyway. But that's, the defender goes to put his foot in, then has to take his foot out, then goes to do it again. They can't get near him. Paddy McCourt used to do it all the time. He's not actually changed the direction of the ball, but he just keeps touching it. And by him keeping touching it, no one can get near it. He's shaped up for the shot, and again, it's pinpoint accuracy into the corner. Well done, Luke McCowan, making the most of his substitute appearance. And like you touched on at the start of the show, getting one up you, if you like, for not starting. I don't mean that he would have been doing it aggressively, but
in a competitive sense.
He didn't start in a competitive sense, Terry. Spot on.
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed the goal. He could have just hit it first time, Bhoycie, and he probably would have scored. But by taking those two touches, he's took it from probably scoring to absolutely definitely scoring. I thought it was superb. And that was it really. That was it really. Kind of all the excitement came in the last 10 minutes. But as I said, sort of throughout, I thought we were really, really comfortable and played well, even whilst it was one each. So thoroughly enjoyable. Always look Ross County as a team that I feel as if we always have to work hard to get the points, and that's been the case. I know we were 5 up in the home game this season, but in other home games, It's been a bit of a struggle, but that's actually 15 times in a row now we've beat Ross County. So you always feel it's one where you'll probably have to work for, but ultimately it's a team Celtic will always get the job done against. And I mean, this season we've got the job done, bar 3 games, I think it is at this stage, or 4 games at the most. So, but today I find enjoyable. Some games you watch and you're kind of going, there wasn't an awful lot happening there. I know we won, and I know it's nice to win, and it was comfortable. But but today was action packed and an entertaining game. And again, 18 points clear now.
A bit of jeopardy in it. That's what you like. I mean, I know it's not jeopardy in the grander scheme of things, but it's watching sport. You're watching a competitive match. You want your team to win. And there was a bit of jeopardy at one point. I think it does add to it. You're 100% right, Terry. And it's great to see us overcome that.
I think we're building momentum again after that defeat. I think it would be you could have seen the performances go a bit stale, but I think we've picked it up, and I think today was actually better than during the week, even though we had to wait longer to get the goals. And I think it's all bubbling up just for this game, as we say, in 11 days' time. It's really exciting. This is a cup final game, and I'm kind of really looking forward to it, and very confident that we'll be able to get the job done. Yeah,
definitely, Terry. Definitely. We look at the grander scheme of things. I mean, is there a grander scheme of things? There's Rangers at home at St Johnstone tomorrow. They should get the gap back to 15. I think they've got the same home record we do, so it's maybe not as exciting. I've been enjoying the double dunk that we've been getting recently. You watch Celtic win, and then you watch them drop points the next day, or following it. It's been great recently. Double trouble every game, man. I love it. I think this weekend it will be. We won't see the points swing either way. I don't think.
You wouldn't think so. You wouldn't think so, but anything's possible. I think our next games during the week here again, and that's
we're Tuesday. We're Tuesday
away to Dundee. Now I did watch Rangers and Dundee the other night. I have to say I was very, very impressed with Dundee. I thought it wasn't a smash and grab, as you sometimes get in these games where it's it's all one way and you need a lot of luck to get the point. Dundee were very, very involved in that game, and
sure.
They could even make an argument to say that they maybe felt they could have got more from it. So I'm expecting that to be a challenge for us, and it's definitely by no means a gimme. I was very impressed with them. Some of the players, the guy up front, absolutely worked his socks off.
Simon Murray,
a couple of decent looking lads in midfield. And there was, I think they had a bit of a makeshift centre back pairing. There was a young lad that had been brought in. I think he was still in his teens, and he played very well as well. So I'm looking forward to the games, and I think that's the main thing.
Donnelly at the back.
Doesn't matter how many points you're ahead or when you called the title race, as long as you're looking forward to the Celtic matches, and I think that's the main thing. And at the minute, I'm looking forward to Dundee, looking forward to the weekend after, and then really, really looking forward to the young Bhoycie.
It's Dundee twice in a row in the league. I'm just looking at it now. Dundee away, and then on the 25th of January, it's Dundee at home.
Dundee United? No. Dundee United. All right, we've got Dundee United then early in February again. So I think we'll have played Dundee United 3 times in quick succession. So,
15th of February.
Not sure how that's worked. I think we must have missed the original Dundee game. It was maybe matching with a League Cup game or something like that.
It would be the final probably, because it's Rangers playing Aberdeen on the Wednesday, and that's only 2 midweek SPFL games, so it must be because of the League Cup final.
You've got to play them all sometime.
Oh, totally, mate. The one thing I would say about Dundee and many of the other sides that have had Rangers visiting them of late is they're not showing Rangers any respect, and the respect levels that will be shown to Celtic will be different, and I'll tell you why. Now, I know it'd be great attitude, just don't show them any respect. Sometimes you have to if you think their level's above, but if you see chinks in the armour consistently for every time they go on their travels, the home side's boiled by that, and they go into the game showing less and less respect. With every passing away game, Rangers drop points. In our case, it's not really how it works. We've just put 4 past Ross County when Ross County thought they had a chance, hope that kills you and all that. Dundee won't approach the game with the same mindset. That either works to our advantage or it makes them harder to break down. That's fair enough. But it won't be that same Dundee that you've seen against Rangers. What you're now witnessing is you said about the Liverpool Wimbledon Cup final and things like that. There is gulfs between the two sides, mate. So one's been treated in one way and one's been treated in another by the home sides. Dundee will respect Celtic tenfold what they respected that Rangers side that visited. Hence how they were able to do what they did. They won't even try to put on the exact same type of performance against us. I would expect them to be a lot more cagier, a lot more focused on shutting out than have a go against them because they're there for the taking. There is a shift in attitude, mate, when it's Celtic and Rangers now. Whether they like that or not, it's the fucking facts. And that's why you probably were impressed with Dundee then, but don't expect to see the same version of them against Celtic this midweek. It won't be.
You're probably right, Bhoycie, but again, I think it just adds a wee bit when you've watched them and they didn't. Hold on. Sorry about that.
That's the second time.
Whose phone's that?
Turn it off.
Dundee. No, I think it just keeps it in. It just keeps an interest, Bhoycie, as I say, when you're sort of ticking all of these games off, you're thinking Dundee, that'll be a procession. It just, do you know what? It'll be a different game, but I think it'll be a different game because they'll approach it with a different mentality. They'll have a bit more trepidation about playing us than they would have done on during the week there against Rangers, because they've seen what other teams have been able to do, and then the game plan is going to be a wee bit more adventurous because we've seen what Hibs were able to achieve, we've seen what Motherwell were able to achieve, we've seen how St Mirren were able to get points off them. So the game plan will be a bit more adventurous, whereas come midweek, it'll kind of be right. If you do this to Celtic, they'll probably still win. Other teams have tried this. Celtic have still got the result. They've got there in the end.
Yeah.
What gives us the best chance of staying in this game for as long as possible, as opposed to, we can really take it. We can really take it to this team and we can hurt them. And we've got evidence. We've a body of evidence over the last 2 months of how you can get at this team and how you can get points. And I think the thing as well, maybe looking at it, those teams are all around each other. They're all competing for different things. They obviously know they're not going to win the league, but they want to finish as high as possible. And a lot of them will have aspirations of top six. That'll be the benchmark for achievement. And the narrative for a long time would be, you're not going to get points against Celtic, you're not going to get points against Rangers, and any points that you get against those teams are a complete bonus. But if they see the teams around them that they're benchmarking and competing against for maybe top six or whatever, if they see all of those teams are actually getting points against Rangers, they almost have to go and get points against Rangers too, or they're gonna lose ground.
Well, there is an interesting battle going on, isn't there, for that, second, third, fourth? Because Aberdeen have just spent, I don't know if you've seen this, they just spent 800 grand on a defender.
Okay.
The Latvia captain, 800 grand. He only had 6 months left in his deal. And they paid the 800 grand for him, mate. So that's a player who's obviously worth 2-3 million quid. Easy. So they're gearing up, they're tooling up, Terry, to make a big push for second again. That sort of investment.
You're making that point as if that's a huge investment for Aberdeen. If that was Celtic buying a player for 6 million, you would go, we spent 6 million 25 years ago. Aberdeen spent $1 million on Paul Bernard? Paul Bernard, yes. That must be 20 years ago.
That was he?
What's the state of birth?
72. 1972. You can check it.
You have to think, they were able to do that then. And now we're looking at 800 grand and we're going, Aberdeen spent 800 grand. My goodness. No, I really.
No, but for a player with 6 months left in his deal.
Aye.
Celtic,
I know.
Celtic, you'd struggle to get to negotiate to pay 800 grand for a player with 600 years left in his deal.
Yeah.
And just
yeah.
to confirm, it was the 30th of December 1972.
Normally, normally the approach would be for a club like Aberdeen, you would sign that guy on a
pre-contract.
Yeah, and you'd wait to the summer.
That's my whole point. What I'm trying to say, they're tooling up.
They're trying to tool up. They see an opportunity.
Yes.
To possibly, and that is a real. That's a real.
They travel to Ibrox midweek.
Yeah, because can you imagine if an Aberdeen or a Dundee United did manage to nick second and they'd be playing in the Champions League, albeit the qualifiers. That would make a massive difference for clubs like that. I'm all on. Like I enjoyed the Aberdeen start to the season because it just generated an interest, and the fall off, whilst it was most people expected that it would happen, it's been a really dramatic fall off. I felt it would be a lot more gradual, as opposed to they just hit a brick wall.
But when you sign a player like that, that brings in a bit of clout, a bit of stature. Yeah. I think that lifts a place again, Terry. That's what was needed. And that's why they've done it. And you're absolutely right. They smell opportunity. With Dundee United, they're 0-0 with St Mirren right now. We're not turning into sports scene, by the way. But they're 0-0 at Love Street right now, I think. Unless this hasn't refreshed in a while. No, they are 0-0. But they're obviously wanting to hold on to their third spot. You've got Aberdeen, who have been raging. They've fallen from second to fourth, like Dundee United in. They've invested. Aberdeen, next game is Hearts tomorrow at home. I think that's live on Sky. And Hearts, I mean, they're there for the taking. And then, of course, at Ibrox, it's Rangers Aberdeen. So it's an interesting win, I'm sure. Whoever comes out second will have made a plucky effort and they deserve it. And we'll try and see them in the distance. Anyway, on that note, Terry, I'm done. That was great fun today. Was there anything else you'd want to bring up?
No, nothing as well. One wee tiny one. You've touched a few times just around the volume of content that the Bus are putting out there at the minute. I just wanted to say I've really enjoyed watching the shows this week, and it's not just content. The quality is really good this week. I watched the show that Phil did last night with yourself and Liam. I watched that this morning. I was up early this morning and watched that. Thoroughly enjoyed it. The new version of the Monday night.
That was class.
That was excellent. Some of the really strong views and opinions, and it's not. We're not just throwing out shows there for the sake of getting the likes and the clicks. The quality of the shows have been really, really good, especially this week.
Well, definitely, I appreciate you saying
that. Until today, when I'm on.
It always falls off a cliff when me and you're on. But yeah, I mean, the team's been together now for a long time. Do you know what I mean? So everyone's got loads of shows under their belt, and the majority of them have anyway. So yeah, you can see everyone's confidence has got to a level now where they know what they're talking about, and everyone does a wee bit of homework. Everyone's passionate about Celtic. It's an easy thing to be. You do your homework subconsciously because that's what you kind of consume your life with. Right, I'm away, mate. I'm going to go play some squash, man. I'm just a fitness freak these days, mate. Fitness freak.
I'm going to go and get a bite to eat and see what.
Are you on the vodka tonight?
No, I'm not. I'm not taking any tonight. I'm cutting down. I'm only drinking once a week, and I had a few last night at the darts, so I'm not taking any.
I could tell that in the chat. I could tell that. Right, all right. No worries. I'll see you later.
Yeah, bye.